Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Jonathan back again with the weekly scuffle, and I'm here to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis versus Frank Martin, and honestly, what I think about this fight, and how I feel like this fight is probably the biggest fight for the PBC on Amazon for the rest of this year because of the loss of Canelo Alvarez. They're really putting a lot of pressure on Tank's shoulders. One that I don't know he could really deliver because, well, as much as I think Tank has the potential to be one of the greatest fighters of this generation, and he definitely has the skill set, he has the power, he has the notoriety in order to achieve these things, the way he's been moved throughout his career, and the way that his attitude is towards certain fights definitely doesn't lend credence to that ever being a true possibility. I think fighters like Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, even Teofimo Lopez are all doing a better job of defining their legacy as fighters, while Tank is, in his defense, making the most money out of all of them. But you look at someone like Devin Haney, who is doing a good job of defining his legacy, making money. I think there's definitely a sweet balance in there, which Gervonta hasn't really done. But with that being said, I think Frank Martin is definitely the toughest test for Gervonta Davis, and I think it's going to be a good indicator because, well, I don't think Frank Martin is the cream of the crop. I definitely do think it's the best name on Tank's resume as of now, if he were to be him. And that's a very big question right there. If I think this fight has the potential to be the hardest fight of Tank Davis's career, because credit to Tank and his team and Floyd, they've really done a great job as Tank is a counterpuncher to get him in there with a lot of pressure fighters that don't really fight off the back foot or look to counter your counters. And it's it works very well for Tank because he is a shorter, stumpier fighter, so him having to come into range doesn't really work. We saw that a lot with Isaac Cruz, but at the same time, I think Tank versus Frank is gonna be an interesting fight. I think Frank could pose a little bit more challenges than any of Tank's previous opponents, and I think him taking this step is kind of a testing grounds for himself. He's thinking of this as a Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney prep fight in a sense. He may not ever admit it, but I feel like that's definitely what this is. He wants to see how his style translates to a more slick style fighter who still has a lot of skills, some power, could definitely make him work. And I think it's going to be a very interesting showing for Tank Davis. It's been a while now since he fought Ryan Garcia, so it's going to be very interesting to see if there's any ring rust involved in this fight. I think him versus Frank is going to be very entertaining. And, a lot of PBC, a lot of this rides on PBC and the potential of PBC potentially dissolving and leaving boxing forever because of the financial straits they're currently in. So, the gate, the pay per view is definitely going to affect the future of not just PBC but of Tank Davis's career because if PBC goes out of business, then Tank is by himself. It's going to be very hard for him to continue moving the way he's been moving. He's going to have to fight tough fighters. People aren't going to fork over big boatloads of cash for somebody that's only selling 200K pay-per-view fights. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. But with all that being said, we'll see how all this plays out and see you next time. Peace.